Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paragon Dev Stream. We're here to talk about Crunch. My name is KL Smith, Community Manager for Paragon. I'm joined by Mr. Mooney.
That's me.
Cameron.
Hello.
And Skylar.
Hi.
We're going to talk all about Crunch. We have a dev team here for you guys. Talk art, talk animation, dev process design. We also have 2 community members out, Fatal Barrage and Solo Nazgul. They will be on a little bit later. Let's jump right in because this one is super interesting. Actually, I have a couple community updates. One, because you mentioned it right before the show started, Cameron.
Yeah.
This is the last dev stream
On Legacy.
on Legacy.
It's true.
Yeah. That's true.
That's
happening.
crazy to think
Making
that we've
history.
come that far. Started with Severog, March 18th, and then now we're here with the release of Crunch, and this will be the last hero that we release on Legacy.
Yep.
Or, as you guys formerly know, Agora. Agora is the world, but Legacy is the map. So that's pretty crazy.
That's right. Remember, Monolith is on Agora.
Yes, Monolith
yes,
is on
yes,
Agora,
yes,
so
yes,
that's
yes,
why I
that.
made sure to make that distinction. One other thing I want to update is that our community events, we revised those. So going forward, and this is because of the launch of Monolith, the community team is basically taking a hard look at the community events, and we want to make sure that they are super impactful. And much of the same way that like the Shadows Eve event was kind of, we got a lot of fanfare around it. People were excited on
Right.
Twitch. We're trying to refine more events like that. Where the community can either play in game and participate or be online, but there's a lot of eventful activities, I think is the right word I want to use.
Eventful activities.
Yes, for
I like
people to grab onto and play when they're in the game. Hero race updates. Now I talked to Patriot. Remember last stream
Yes.
that Patriot was going all in on Countess. They were neck and neck between Miso Sneaky, who is now on 4, and Patriot. Now, Hero Race is something that will be revised going into our next set of community events, but got second again. So he has one more.
Yeah. This is the one.
This is the one before we go to Monolith.
Right.
If you want to do it, Patriot, I'm watching you. So Miso Sneaky, Patriot, and Aphrodite were top 3. Congratulations to those guys. And at that point, last community update, community vote for V35, the card pack series. We had Battle Mantra, Scorpion's Plate, and Sage's Key. So 35 is Battle Mantra, 35-1 is Scorpion's Plate, and 35-2 it will be Sage's Key, which we'll see.
Is it mantra or mantra?
Mantra.
I wasn't sure.
You could say it either way.
I could say it either way.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you for your permission.
Specifically you.
That's just me?
Yeah, just
Awesome.
you.
Fantastic.
So with that being said, we're going to hop into Crunch and talk about Crunch. I want to show you guys the announced trailer. Now, by the way,
I require to see the announcement.
we must see the announced trailer.
I have to see it.
This trailer was by far the one that it was the beginning, right? It's the beginning for everyone. But I saw it, and I told a couple people this story. So I went to go see Hoffman, and Hoffman is our video producer. And so in his office, there's these 2 offices that have Sean was one of our editors, and John Menifee. And I happened to see Menifee's door open, and I took a side glance, and I saw some things happening on screen, and it was Crunch. And so I was like, that's set up like a fighting game. So I kind of stopped for a second, and I watched it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back to that. And I walked over to talk to Hoff. And as soon as I was done with Hoff, I came back over to him and I was like, John, listen, I gotta see that. And so he showed me, and I was like, oh my God, this is the hypest thing ever. And then he told me that, you guys are gonna watch in a second, but he told me that Steel was gonna do the thing falling down in the background. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be sick. So without further ado, here's the Crunch announced trailer for you
KL
guys.
certified the hypest.
This is great.
My name is Crunch. I like to punch. Okay, here we go. Bye-bye. Do you like like it when I punch you?
Unreal.
Crunch, punch.
Massacre.
Time to punch.
Unstoppable.
So, Cameron, lead hero designer, Skylar, who's community coordinator, was previously on CompQA, is going to talk about Crunch. Now, that trailer, there's a lot of feels in that trailer.
Yeah.
With the fighting game, take, homage, if you will. Cameron, what was the inspiration for this? I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty straightforward. So essentially, the idea behind Crunch, it started off. A lot of heroes start off kind of in a circassious path. Like, we had this really big robot hero, and he had a kit, and we got some. I got a kit suggestion from one of the UX designers in Seattle, and he was like, he had this idea for this kit, for like a swordsman kind of thing, which is where the empowered kind of mechanic came from. And from my bit, I wanted to make sure we had a hero that could really fit into like a fighting game kind of play style. So
Right.
like, Paragon's obviously, the MOBA that puts you in the action. So like, there's a lot of, crossover games. We wanted there to be a hero that was like, okay, your buddy plays Street Fighter or Tekken or one of those kind of games. It's like, and it's like an action game. It's like, but can I play a MOBA? Well, yeah, like we wanted to have a hero that kind of spoke to that play style.
right.
So Crunch was designed as a hero that just punches you, and that was kind of really core to his kit design. So like the inspiration directly, like specifically from like Street Fighter Alpha 2, there was a ability called Alpha Combo where you could just kind of hit both your Fierce and your Roundhouse button at the same time and just kind of just chain stuff, whatever you wanted for a while. And usually they were bad, but like if you were like, someone really good, they could be really awesome. So I was like, well, what would that be like in a MOBA? So
Right.
the idea of this kit is he's got 3 attacks that each have the empowered state. So you can do, left crunch, right crunch, forward crunch, and they all do their own thing. But then the third ability you do is better. And then the ultimate just lets you do whatever ability you just did again. So that kind of is the combo breaker that makes it so you can chain them together in really interesting ways.
Right.
So that's kind of like the whole idea with it. And the other major thing that kind of like we wanted to make sure we did, and big props to both Andrew Baines and Adam Belfield, designers on this hero, was making it so that fighting game players expect animation canceling, frame canceling. So we had to make sure that was in there as well. So like your abilities have recovery, but not if you actually connect with the abilities, you can cancel recovery frames into other abilities.
Right.
So that's what allows the combos to be so fluid when you see in the. I know it looks kind of impossible, like it's just some movie magic, but that's actually how he plays, which is really cool.
Now, the thing that gets me is, and I talked about this a little bit in the Discord with people, the animation canceling, recovery frames, these are very technical aspects of the fighting game genre itself that we've kind of incorporated here. Is this something that you feel like, because it's now introduced with Crunch, you guys could take some of that if you wanted to and say, okay, well, we did Crunch, maybe we can try this style hero and use some of the same concepts? Or do you think it would be something that you would relegate to very few heroes?
Well, I mean, it's like whenever you're making a hero, it's like a combination. It's like a very complex Venn diagram of like, okay, what is the heroic fantasy of the hero? What is the actual gameplay function of the hero? Also, like, what art do we have? All kinds of stuff
Right.
kind of goes together, because it's very rare that you're just like, this is the concept for the hero, and you give it to the artist, and you get the drawing, and you're like, that's perfect, and then you make the kit. It's like, wow, it worked the first time. Like, that never happens. Like, that never happens. Usually, it's like you come in with a concept. They draw you the thing, you put the thing in the game, you play the kit's garbage, you make a new one, then you take the first thing from kit number 7, and then you like this other hero that got canned, you take an ability from that, and then you're like, and this still doesn't work, and now we're going to make up a new ult. I mean, the process is super messy.
Right.
So essentially, like, is this something we could do on other heroes? Absolutely. One of the things we love doing is tech sharing between our heroes. Like, you know, when the Fae got her thorn wall, we use that same technology to make Bellicus stun. You know, same kind of stuff. Like, so, you know, whenever there's an opportunity, absolutely we're going to do that. But like the main thing for other heroes going forward is we don't want to like force it, right? We don't want to just be like, well, this was really fun for Crunch, so we're going to make the next hero do that too. It's like, if the hero asks for that kind of thing, then it's something we can definitely explore. But, you know, this is a hero that's going to be very input, like execution heavy. Like, so I kind of view like, because we're like an action MOBA, right? There's going to be very high execution heroes we have. There's also got to be, you know, strategic thinking heroes as well. So like, and then there's going to be a blend of the two. So this hero is kind of heavy on execution. That's okay. And we'll have other heroes that are maybe more heavy on, you know, how to actually position yourself or be strategic about stuff, and then all the ones in between. So I don't know. I mean, what the next hero? Well, actually, I do know what the next hero is going to be, but you don't know what the next hero is going to be. But that's what's really important. Hi, XI4. Anyways, so I'll see you guys. You know.
Okay. When you were thinking about this hero, and then I'm going to switch over to Skylar. What type of team compositions did you see Crunch kind of fitting in?
So he's in a real weird spot, isn't he? Because like he's just coming in at the end of Agora, well, end of Legacy Agora, right? And he's coming into Monolith, Agora Monolith, and so we were definitely thinking about like positions for him. He can definitely jungle. He can definitely offlane. If you wanted to, you could support with him, but that's kind of bad. I think like it's probably there's a lot of other options. Like his stun is not really reliable,
right?
So like I wouldn't pick him for support. You could mid with him, but he'll probably get wrecked by any real mid. So I would say like offlane or jungle is probably the best place for him. He's a heck of an offlaner though, because when he gets to level advantage and especially with the way Monolith plays, with some stuff that you'll read in the blogs coming up soon, you will see that he's going to be a really, really fantastic offlaner. But the core thing to remember, as with all of our heroes in Paragon, we don't design heroes with a lane or a role in mind.
Right.
We design heroes with kind of like they're better. They got almost like affinities, but like this hero kind of suggests that it might be good in the jungle or suggests that it might be good in the offlane. But we're always interested to see, how the community actually plays the hero.
Yeah.
And just because you've never seen someone play Crunch mid doesn't mean it's not a good mid. So just don't be that guy. That's that like that guy. Don't be that guy. Just try it out, see how it works. So tell us what works.
Okay, Skylar, for you guys, when you were testing the kit, what were some of the things that immediately kind of drew your attention to the hero and like, okay, we should work on this, we should double down on this? What type of feedback did you kind of give devs throughout the process of making Crunch?
So we really liked that he played really, he was very fluid in his movement and all his actions. Like, we feel like we can just press them together, and it feels really good to just press his buttons together. And we kind of came back to, this is in his older kit, he had some weird abilities and stuff that we wanted to iterate on. We said we sat down with Cameron and Adam and a couple of the other designers and said why don't we just make it why don't we add in animation canceling? Why don't we add in a mimic ability on his ult? Just make it really play to that strength of this hero feels really fluid and I want to press my buttons together and that feels really good. And so we kind of we landed on this kit where you combo them together, and that is his identity is Heroic Fantasy. So that was really where I think he really came together.
Okay, when you feel free to hop in at any point. When you kind of had the opportunity to play him, was there a specific moment in time where after the kit was down, you comboed someone and you were this is it, this is the moment?
Yeah, I remember I had a kill. I was jungling. I had a kill already. I was pretty ahead. I went to gank bot lane and I just 100-0 someone off like a full, like perfect combo, frame perfect combo, and I'm like, this is the most fun thing. I just punched this guy a bunch of times and he's dead. Like mission accomplished, you know.
I mean,
So-
I think it's one of the things that interested me when like we were playing it or trying it or even heard about it.
Yeah.
Was the idea that it felt like almost like that I just picked up like a fighting game or something and I'm trying to learn the combos and I was like running through and just like playing and I was like, all right, if I do this into this, does this work? And I'm like, I do this into this and I'm like, oh no, that takes too long. Like I'm in lag way too long for that. But like if I cancel this into this, I figure this out, and like that concept and that process like of learning the combos and figuring out what works, I think is like super. It feels good.
It's very rewarding. Like whenever you do something sick in a fighting game, you're like, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's like, how did I do
You're
that?
like,
Let me do that
That was
again.
hype, right? Like that's the feeling you get when playing Crunch, and I think that like is going to appeal to a lot of people.
Okay.
I was jungling with him actually last Friday in Monolith, and I was like trying to figure out like, okay, what's the best thing to do? So I was like, you know, forward crunching into mobs, and it was like moving me backwards, and I was like, this is awkward. I was like, and then I said, oh, I'm gonna approach it differently. So then I started doing his, you know, right crunch into left crunch, and then ult to the big crunch, the big left crunch, and then I was just cleaning up creep camps, and I said, this is what I, you know, so it's like I have to learn exactly what, depending on what the situation is, how I'm approaching it, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's actually a clip I think that's coming up here, where whoever's playing this, I think this is Alex, and again, I very rarely refer to gameplay on screen, but I think he goes in right here, and he kills the gadget, and then he blinks out, and then there's minion mobs in front of him, and he dashes into the mobs and then knocks them up to get out. Boom,
Yeah, there
boom,
it is.
right there.
Gone.
And I was like, oh my god, that's so sick, right?
Yeah.
So there's moments like that, and we were all watching it beforehand before this came up, so I knew that moment was coming up. There's plays like that I feel like people are gonna have
definitely.
euphoric, like, this is it. This is why I'm playing this hero. This is my main, right? So
Remember, I read Reddit. This is like half of Reddit's main already. Even though they have, like, I mean, so that's definitely happening.
yeah. So thank you guys for talking about it. We didn't cover affinities. He is
Fury and Order.
Fury and Order. Were there any other options that you guys were kind of thinking about beforehand, or
For affinities?
For affinities?
No.
You just
Like,
do it right off the bat.
right, I
Locked
mean,
in, you
it's
were
like,
like, yeah.
so we knew he punches you, so that's Fury.
Fury, yeah.
And then it was like he's kind of a robot. He's kind of a good guy. Like he's not really like a good guy, but he's definitely not a bad guy. I mean,
Right.
like if you look at him, he's like he likes to punch, and he wants to know if you like it when he punches you. Like
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, if it was Thing Mao, like, you know, same kind of thing. Like he would want to know, like, does the halberd hurt in your face, right? But like Sevarog doesn't care if the hammer hurts you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why he's not white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, so the red white kind of, you know, works out for him.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys
Thanks
being
for coming on.
Yeah.
We will have Zach Foreman
Yes,
and
Gabriel Wigierski. Next.
Wigierski next.
I made an attempt. We'll find out from
Well
Gabriel
played.
when we get back if I was
Well
right or
played.
not. Yes, yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
Have the next folks up. All right, we're back and joined by Zach and Gabriel. So Zach, both of these guys have been on. You guys were on for the first
Yeah,
stream.
as we were talking about it
And
becoming
then,
full circle
Yeah, we're full circle. They're back on for the last dev stream on
Legacy.
Legacy. So we're here talking about Crunch. Is Crunch one of the heroes where design kit and stuff was done before you guys finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The kit definitely drove the art heavily on this.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the design doc stuff was a robot that punches, like Rock'em Sock'em robot,
Right.
real steel.
Right,
They
right.
wanted just a big robot that punched people.
Okay.
So I knew that from the get-go.
So based
that,
off
that
of
drove it heavily.
Okay, based off of how you kind of knew beforehand what was the intent, robot that punches, did you already have like, okay, like you mentioned, Real Steel and Rock'em Sock'em. So from your initial like concepts, were those kind of the inspirations
From that as
kind
a
of
point of
drawn to
reference,
it?
yeah.
I'd never really looked at that stuff. It was in the doc, and that stuff was pretty
Straightforward?
Straightforward. Like
Okay.
you know, that kind of stuff has been around forever. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like I needed to go look at Real Steel or that stuff, because we kind of wanted it to still be our own thing.
Yep.
But it was kind of just the initial, like, all right, we're all on the same page. We know where it's going, and then from that point, I could start sketching and kind of
Right.
get a direction going.
I think we have some of the early
From some of the
concepts.
Yeah, we can bring
arts,
up the thumbnails. So yeah, these were the thumbnails for it. So this was like the initial, like read the design doc. Next day, did just a page of quick sketches to get my art director and everybody kind of on the same page. And I think we ended up going with the one in the bottom right was the initial, and then yeah, this is the after we picked the one in the bottom right. This was where it ended up. So lots of times the sketches, they don't really they don't end up exactly the same as the sketches to
Right,
the final.
right.
Like it takes a kind of process. So we picked the one in the bottom right, but then we kind of
Like
ended
pivoted.
up. Yeah, we kind of ended up here where it's at now.
So the thing that sticks out to me with all those sketches is the little tiny,
Tiny
Yes.
white
head.
head.
Well,
Where
I know
did that come
a
from?
lot of people ask about it, and they're like, "Why is his head so
You know,
small?"
the
Yeah.
head.
And honestly, the reason I made it so small is because in any standalone image, it's like a scale thing. So we knew we wanted him to be huge, and we had wanted all his parts to feel massive. So if I gave him a tiny head, just in any image when he's alone, you instantly think he's massive. He doesn't need any point of reference. Like he doesn't need a person standing next
so
to him.
it's not
He
like the
doesn't-
steel has to look up every time
Yeah.
at him. It's
yeah,
the,
yeah. It's like you see an image of him and you see a tiny head and you instantly relate that to like a human scaled head, and then you picture the rest of his, like it makes the rest of his body parts
gives you a
feel-
point of reference
feel
to see how big he
massive.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So yeah, that was I
Small
guess,
little trick in
yeah
there.
trick behind the tiny head.
Another question I have for you, and this was for this. I think did we post this as concept art?
I don't think this. Maybe not this specific one.
It might have
Or
been
maybe
the
this
top.
I
one.
think
Yeah,
you
or this
did.
one. Oh yeah, the top. Yeah.
So the crunch, that graffiti logo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who made that?
Yeah. That's.
Ben Schaefer.
Okay.
He actually, all the graffiti on there was written on my whiteboard by him. He came in. He's a concept artist on Fortnite.
Okay.
A friend of mine. He came in to my office one day when I was working on him, and I was thinking about putting graffiti on him. And he actually used to do a bunch of graffiti back in the day. So I was like, Ben, write on the whiteboard
we
just
should
a
just
bunch.
do graffiti
I was
on
like,
the whiteboard.
I was like, just scribble on the whiteboard a bunch of like graffiti that a kid would write on a robot. So that's where all the
That's
graffiti
awesome.
came
Yeah,
from.
that's really cool.
Actually using the talents, like the previous talents, is awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so then this is just a breakout page, line drawings and stuff to work off of.
Okay.
But yeah, after the sketch, I usually end up doing like the concept sculpt for him.
Right.
So I think this is his concept sculpt. But yeah, that's the part I probably have the most
Yeah,
fun with in the
the-
process.
Okay.
The fists seem like I know obviously like crunch punch and everything, but like yeah, the fists, like the detail, like where that it has, like they have the thrusters inside and all
Yep.
that. Like was that an idea from the start though, like having his fists be like kind of powered by these like thrusters and like just be
That was actually Chris Perna's idea. He had the idea of having the fists be able to go back and forth,
forth.
sliding
Oh,
on the
cool.
thing. And we wanted, his whole kit is around punching, so
Yeah.
right.
we wanted his fists to be unique and kind of the thing on him that kind of sets him apart from other things. So we put a lot of effort into making sure the design of the fists were kind of different. So yeah, that thing slides up and down his forearm, and there's a lot of cool animation stuff that can go on with that.
Okay. And now, between the concept and then the modeling, what were the things that were the most difficult, like transitioning over for you guys?
For me, I got this 3D concept and I got the shapes, and it was easier to start with. But the most important thing is to make sure that all joints supports what animation needs.
Okay.
It's really easy to break something like at the beginning, and you need to be like to have like an organized scene to
Right,
right.
support that.
Right.
And we tried to, because the crunch had this really extreme movement,
Right.
and we at some point we needed to change some areas of the mesh to support that.
Right.
The model was almost done, and we decided to like step back and to fix like the shoulder
Shoulders.
to like have this kind of big movement. We needed as well delete some elements. Like I really love this element, this connecting the arm
Right.
with the torso, which I love in the concept, and it was in the model, but we needed to delete it because it wasn't working for animation.
Right.
And it was hard for me to delete that because it's always like I was too connected to this.
I think we have some of the images you brought as well, like of the. I mean, I think it also had some of the like shots we ended up using for the. Yeah, so this is one of the like final shots, I'm sure, in the final version. And you kind of see what you're talking about. We have the thrusters coming out from the back there, like a close-up shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, everybody did such a awesome job after me with this guy. It was really cool to watch him kind of come to life.
Was the this is some of those fine details and the picture. I think we paused it on screen. We were talking about the paint chipping and the flaking.
Yeah.
Was that something that was post you guys, or did you guys kind of have like he should have this rustic look as
that was after me. That's
Okay.
kind of the really fun part about my job is, you know, I pass off, he's just standing there like super stiff.
right?
But
You
we
know,
knew.
Then they just
Yeah. But
take
we
it
knew
much further.
that he would be looking like quite dirty and
Right.
from junk.
Right.
Right.
yeah.
And Brad Smith did awesome job on texturing him.
Okay.
He's really like a, you know, perfectionist on doing that
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and he was doing all this small wear and tear on him.
Right. Yeah. Because
I love these gradients
you
as
can-
well on these colors, and yeah, he did awesome job on
Now,
that.
for those of you guys watching, and some of these shots, it's difficult to see. If you look at the Challenger scan,
Yeah.
which is that red and white paint, you can really see what I'm talking about with the kind of the flaking paint details on the decals and stuff that you guys will see. And you notice it on this one as well in some places, but that one is the one that really stood out to me. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, I like it
That's
because
pretty
it's
much
more
it.
it's more subtle. Because like you can easily be like, oh, let's throw rust on or throw dirt on or something. But like the very subtle, like the slight, like oh, this is like a little bit faded or this is a little
Yeah.
bit chipped or like the little dents and marks. Like that's what really shows something like its age of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all Brad Smith. He did all the texture work on him, and
Okay.
he did a phenomenal job. Like, you can zoom into, like, the tiniest part and get all that crazy. Like, you can see the layers of, like, how the paint's chipping off. Like,
Right.
Right.
the same way if you look at a car, like, there's tons of layers from, like, paint to everything, and you can literally just see it, like, weathering. It's not, like, just some, like, dirt scribbled on there. It's
Right.
like, oh, no, it looks like somebody actually painted this, and
Yeah.
then it really, like,
He
realistically
was
weathered.
crazy about that.
I think we have
Yeah,
two
it's
more
really awesome.
modeling shots that Gabriel brought after this. But yeah. So
Yeah, that's actually the model without the change of the shoulder.
Nice.
Like it's more similar to what Zach designed.
the initial version, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You kind of see how it changed. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah.
His fingers like steels really stick out to me as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
It just shows like how big his fists are.
Because and it's like one of those things where like I could imagine like it being like a normal like fist like coming from his like straight from his arm, but you can see like it just breaks off into the turbine instead, and then it's like almost just on top of it. It kind of makes it also adds to the whole heroic fantasy concept that Cameron was talking about earlier, where he said you were trying to achieve that Venn diagram and like
Yeah.
fall somewhere in the middle. And like I feel like that takes that extra length where like I am getting uppercutted by this guy for a ton of damage, which makes sense that it's like an airplane turbine is hitting me in the jaw, right? Like that makes sense for the announce video that Steel got knocked up like all the way because it's just like a turbine hitting him in the mouth.
Right.
It's got to be entertaining.
So between you guys, you know, what do you guys feel like were, I think the most difficult thing about
The
bringing
process
this
of
hero
crunch,
to
yeah.
life?
I mean, it really wasn't too difficult at all, honestly. I mean, we're kind of used to working together. We did
Yep.
Severog,
Severog.
worked together on a few things, so we both kind of know how each other works, and you know, easy process. Gabriel called me over. Oh, we need to cut this part. Oh, you know, that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, try to work through a way to, you know, like cut that element, but still make the overall thing work.
Right.
Yeah, nothing really too difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, for me as well. Like the low poly process was quite painful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you need to be quite precise. You need to do a lot of tests of
Right.
baking these textures.
Right.
And yeah, if something doesn't working, you need to work more on that. But high poly itself, it wasn't really hard.
Okay.
Like, it was huge amount of elements. It was huge, but somehow I was surprised that it wasn't like really hard to do.
All the pieces kind of fell in place, you would say. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's thanks to Zach for sure for giving like this base model,
Right.
which is awesome to start with.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on.
Appreciate having you guys
Yeah,
on.
definitely.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Next up, we'll have Yanni and Jay, animation and effects, to talk through Crunch,
Yep.
and we'll be right back, guys.
Cool. See you.
See ya.
Hello, we are back. I have with me Jay Hosfeld, lead animator, and I have Yanni Tripolidis, senior FX artist. Did I get that right this time?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be starting in talking about animation and FX. I know Jay brought some assets we can talk through, but generally if you want to just go through the process of like Crunch, how it was through the process, if there's any specifically difficult things or...
Right, so Crunch was unique for us because he wasn't something we can just get someone in a mocap suit and get 90% of the motion like we typically
Right.
do. This character is very bulky, and mocap typically lends itself to a very light looking character. So this was going to be keyframed from the start. And so what I wanted to show you guys today is kind of like how we start when we do a keyframe character, because we can't just go back to Mocap Studio, so you really want to do your research up front.
Right.
To get things nailed down. So first, when we got the description and the concept art for Crunch, we went and researched other films
Right.
that had robotic characters, big heavy robots.
Right.
And we looked to those not to copy them, but just to see how other people executed that idea.
Right.
So we brought in Remy Fullwood. He owns a boxing gym here in Raleigh, one
Oh,
of the
that's
larger
okay.
ones. I think it's called Jawbreakers or something like that. So we had him come in, and while we didn't use his motion capture directly onto Crunch, we had all this motion just to study and to look at and really get the, if this Crunch is a boxer, what's the true form of a boxer? Like we just can't guess it in our heads,
Right.
So we had, a professional come out and show us that. And the next thing we have, what's the third video I brought? Next thing is just us doing stuff. So this is Ray Arnett, who did, in the trailer you saw,
Oh, I
his
love
gloves
that. I
come on.
love
Yeah.
that so much that
And
it's Ray.
Yeah, and this is the analogy to like he's getting ready for the fight. Boxers put their gloves on and they're ready. Well,
Right.
this Crunch has these fists that can come off, so they kind of
Right.
just come on and he's ready to fight. And then
It's really sweet.
That's so cool.
the next video I have is really just showing, this is us trying to discover the personality of Crunch. Is he a brawler? Is he a tough guy? So Jeremy, Jeremy Phones, he was the primary animator on this. He just went through, asked him to just discover it. What's this guy's personality? And this he originally did like a gentle giant. Think of like Iron Giant
Right,
kind
right.
of thing. And we didn't want to go with that. We wanted this guy to know he's a bruiser, but we still were exploring this idea. And then the next one was just testing out different idle poses, like what reads in the game.
Right.
This Crunch has this really unique silhouette. It's actually kind of hard to read unless he's like in a clear pose. And this is just a bunch of these are like kind of failed experiments, and we do these like really fast just to get to the ideas real fast. And
Right.
this is all the research and planning you do before you really commit to going in and keyframing these moves. So Jeremy Phones did all the abilities for this. He's an animator out in Seattle, which is why he can't be here today. and he nailed it. And I think the secret was just selling the weight of this character.
Right.
Right.
The weight of the fist were what sold everything about him. Initially, like I think our kit called for quick jabs, and those we found were just getting lost. They didn't feel really good or powerful.
Right, and so like his basics are much more.
So yeah, we just
There's a
we
little bit
kept-
of heft to them that he's hefting his arm like over to you.
Right,
Right.
because the Rock and Soccer Robots did this kind of like fast punch. It
Yeah.
didn't work that way with him. So these big haymakers were really reading really well, and so in a way, like his evolution he kind of told us how he had to move, with his punches.
Now I'm curious for the gentleman that you guys had out for boxing. Did you have him do more like combos as well?
Yes, we had. So Remy he ran through everything.
Everything?
Combos, he did jabs, crosses, punches, uppercuts. We even had him just kind of show off in the ring. What do you do when you win a fight? What do you do before a fight? And we had him out for a couple days.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Well,
Right,
and because I think it adds to a lot of the fluidity in game, because we'd seen some of the B-roll, like we see the like Crunch, normal basic attack, and then you'll see him combo and empowered like uppercut or something, and it looks super fluid because it's like this makes sense. This heavy punch is going into this heavy punch, rather than just being like jab and then all of a sudden like uppercut. Like and that makes a lot more sense for the fluidity of the character. And I imagine like making sense in your brain in game. It's like, oh, that happened to me. That actually makes sense as a thing.
Right.
And for effects, Yanni, just trying to play off of having that weight that Jay mentioned. What were some of the things that you guys kind of did to?
That was for the trails and the impacts. So
I think we have some of the hook stuff for the FX.
The trails, especially the empowered versions, follow the animation. They're entirely tied to the animation of the attack, and that's from the 3D mesh in Max. It's not per frame. It doesn't follow the punch per frame because we wanted to get like a dynamic shape. And the camera offset of the materials take care of offsetting the mesh in front of closer to the player, so in front of the punch.
Right.
And that was one of the ways. The other one was the impacts. The impacts are now directional. That's kind of the first hero to have that. So depending on where the hero's bone, there is a bone in his fist. Depending where it's facing, the impact faces the same direction. So we get that more energetic, dynamic impact.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because his animation is much stronger than like Severok's Wing or Steel's. And the VFX had to follow that, inherit the sort of energy that his animation had.
No.
And excuse me. So animation can like take it really far, but we can't take the full impact of it. So the effects guys, when they add those impacts, they're just increasing the feel of it by 2 to 3 times.
Right.
And then the trails add
we have
fluidity.
the trail. Yeah, we have the.
Sometimes we have a frame here and a frame here punching, but if they put a cool little arc trail, people just assume there was this nice smooth path.
So he had mentioned the turbine jet as an analogy for how big his fists are.
Yeah.
Was part of his kit, and you guys can kind of see this here. Was part of that feel to really make sure that like that you saw the flames kind of coming out in some of these motions to really give it that oomph?
It's a bit like his effects are not based in reality. Like in any case, he's in like Twin Blast or Gadget. It's kind of like those anime effects you would see in fighting games because the hero is based on fighting games, right? So that energy that his punch has grows into the effect, and in a more stylized way, in a more exaggerated, over-the-top kind of way.
Right.
And that's only mainly for the empowered. So we found like a key element to use throughout all his impacts, and then we built on it. To grow it and get the empowered versions.
Okay.
So you kind of had like the normal version where you're like, this is how Crunch moves, this is the punches, and then moving into the ultimate with the empowered versions.
Yeah, but the fact that the impacts are directional helps into selling the same element into 3 different ways. One for the Q, right mouse, and E.
Right.
And on top of that, you want to make each attack feel independent from each other and unique.
Right.
But you also want to maintain a coherence between all of them. So some elements are some elements indicate that the attack is empowered. I mean, the animation is enough, but it's a competitive game, and we're trying to give information in any way we can. So the effects reflect the empowered state as well. And so that's to show the empowered version. And then there is another unique elements for each attack to make them sort of different from each other. And then there's the same element that's used throughout all the attacks, even the primary attack, that makes it more coherent. So when you see the impact, you instantly know that impact came from Crunch. Not another hero.
Right.
No, and I think it's super helpful because you get into a match, you want to know, can I fight Crunch? Or is he going to empowered? Like, was that an empowered knockup? Like, did he just hit me with that? Why did I? It kind of gives you all that information, taking damage, what to expect, when what punch he's hitting you with.
And Jay, for the empowered animations, obviously there was the different states. Now, how did you guys kind of go about approaching those?
For the empowered, we essentially had to say, all right, we got this really nice, strong, powerful hook. How do we amp that up even more? And that was actually, we sometimes didn't know the answer. The uppercut was like, that we knew that from the beginning. It was like the gut punch, and of course the uppercut is the natural, like, amped up version. But if you see this, like where he does like the double,
that was interesting to me. The double-handed hook was so cool because I was like, that definitely made sense to me because it's applying a slow, I believe, as well with the two-handed hook.
I believe so.
So like with that empowered hook, like getting that across was, I'm sure,
it was
interesting.
That was a challenge because originally we were just going to hope for effects to show the empowered version. We'd just keep the same animation. And then we realized pretty quickly we needed something new. And Jeremy just showed it in dailies one day, and the whole room just was like erupted in applause. We're like, that's it, that's awesome. So yeah, it's a matter of just we had to keep pushing it. This guy, for me specifically, I mean, I'm working with a bunch of mocap a lot of time, and some of our characters kind of chase realism. With this particular character, it really helped push him beyond and really get to these like cool extreme poses.
Okay. One more question I got for you guys, because you ended up showing us something when we did Countess, when her ult was on the receiver. So you got to see it from the receiving end and what that looked like. Now, how do you guys kind of approach it from the other end? And I see you guys have the motion for the heroes and the background on where they go. How much of the effects and animation kind of are also being applied to the receiver when you guys are thinking about this?
On our end, it's from design, because if he does the uppercut, we know it's going to use a knock-up animation.
Right.
We rarely make a custom.
So Countess
was a specific one,
Yeah. So we rarely make a custom recipient animation. Otherwise, it just blows up our whole. Now we got to go back and make 20 more for the past 20 heroes.
Okay. Just curious.
But you guys do custom recipient effects for it.
So because his fists are so massive, like if you compare them to Twin Blast, they're the size of his chest. we couldn't have small impacts playing for such a big fist.
Right.
So the default size of the impact is quite large compared to other impacts in the game.
Right.
But it adapts to the size of the receiver. So the person that receives it, it's somebody like Iggy and Scourge, will have slightly smaller impact compared to like Narbash or Sevarog, which are much larger.
Okay.
So that takes care of if Crunch is attacking a minion, which is the smallest character we currently have in the game, or Narbash, which is the largest, I think. It adapts completely based on the hero that's receiving the damage.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
Yeah. I want to mention one more thing. We had another animator, Scott Robideau, work on this guy. I just want to give mad props to him. He did the dashing punch.
Nice.
On that, which was beautiful.
Yep.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for coming on, guys.
So much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was awesome. Next up, we have our community guests, Nazgul and Fatal Barrage, and then we'll close out the show.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're back with Mooney pointing at you.
As always.
We're back with Fatal Barrage and Nazgul. So you both got to play Crunch a little bit. I know you guys are going to go stream with some guys here in a second, but one of the things that I got to point out, because Nazgul, I was looking at what he was doing, and it seems like you were basically in the lab. Like you were, you were
just labbing.
He was already labbing, working on combos. How'd you guys kind of feel about Crunch going in?
So I was testing out kind of those frame perfect combos SLG was talking about.
Yeah.
And you really can like combo it's really fluid the way you can combo the abilities within the situation you're approaching. You can use all the abilities in any formation you want. You can cancel the animations too, like he says, and kind of increase your damage output. And I was testing how you can do it the fastest way. It's really interesting. It's really cool.
Do you think you've mastered it already?
No, I don't think so. I think I have to go home and test it for hours.
Okay.
My point of view from it, it feels like Mooney said earlier, it's fluid. Comboing your Q into your, what is the Q again? Your double cleave.
Yeah.
Comboing
the
that
powered
into
hook,
your E is phenomenal, especially with the empowered R.
Yeah.
So I feel that the moves do chain together very well, like the fighting games that you guys mentioned before. I was skeptical at first because of how he looked. It was kind of more of a clunkier hero. I was thinking the abilities would be more disconnected. But overall, I've been having a fun
robotic,
experience. More like that, but right now it's super fluid. I really do appreciate it.
You could tighten up the bottom of that, around the bottom of here.
Oh, rip.
Yeah, no, I think like one of the things that was like curious to me is that I feel like I would have had that initial perception too if I like saw his model, and I'm just like, oh, you know, he's gonna be that heavy hitter, and then he's just gonna hit, and there's gonna be a process, but he kind of does feel like you can control those aspects where you're just like, I'm doing all of these things, like this is me.
All right, so you know, I think for most of you guys, Nazgul's on Reborn, part of that group that's tearing it up in Agora Rising. And Fatal, I happened to be watching one of your streams one day, and you know, I saw you, and you were really passionate about the game, getting into it.
Yeah.
How'd you guys, you know, get into Paragon?
I'll start first. So the marketing department, whoever is in charge of that, really good. I was on Twitter, seen the ad, and I initially played it for PlayStation 4. I got ridiculed for whatever reason because a lot of my friends were on PC, but it allowed me to play with PC people, and it wasn't a massive difference because I was playing melee heroes, so the hits were still the same as if I was playing on PC. And I started off with that, had a really good time, but then a lot of my friends were saying, hey, buy a PC, so forth, so I did. But I really do enjoy the game. The game plays out very well, and first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for both of you guys, for Epic, for Chris as well, for actually speaking with us, inviting us out. You guys, Epic, if anyone is ever given the opportunity to come down, or if you're invited, please take it. You guys treated us with the utmost respect. I appreciate that, and you made us feel very comfortable. So first and foremost, I want to get out of the way, and yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate you guys.
No, it's good to have you guys out here.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, so +1 to that. For me, it was kind of the same deal. I saw the same tweet on Twitter, like
the same exact tweet.
Like, it was weird. I wasn't sure what it was because I just saw a game called Paragon made by Epic Games, and I knew who Epic Games was, like you know, Gears of War and all that stuff. And I was looking for like the next big thing to play. I thought maybe when I get home I'll check out what this game is, and immediately signed up. And you had like OTs running. You have to be invited to that. I couldn't. You had to like reply to an email the same week. I didn't do that, so I had to wait until like the first day of
early access.
Early access when you can buy in, which was March 28, and I started immediately there. And ever since I've started playing, then I've had high hopes for the game, ups and downs, but all in all, I think I've always had like good thoughts. Like I think this will be a good
premier game, definitely, most definitely.
Okay. So I'm curious. Both you guys stream. Nazgul, you got more involved on the competitive side. I know you kind of are
free agent, jungler, free agent.
So what kind of drew you both to streaming, and then the second part for you, Nazgul, what kind of got you interested in playing in tournaments?
I've always been a competitive kind of player. I've always had that spirit, kind of from playing video games with my brother my whole life. And then when I started playing MOBAs, that was like the main thing I was interested in. Like this was the game I wanted to play competitively, the genre. And as soon as I started playing Paragon, those were my first thoughts. Like, okay, I want to play this game competitively. I want to get a good grasp of it, and just take it to another level that I wouldn't expect.
Okay. What about you?
Me, so I like it with him. I have high hopes for the game, for the upcoming map that's coming out as well. Playing the game so far has been a good experience, positive experience. I met a lot of friends on there, and we shared a lot of opinions about this current state of the game, where we think the game is going to be, and you guys have been open as well, communicating. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. So far, there's a few ups and downs, but like it's with everything. It's more me nitpicking on certain aspects of the game, like no Fang mouse skin. That's. But aside from that, like honestly, this game has been amazing. The company, everyone here has been dope. Really good. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I know we're on a super tight schedule. I'm gonna let you guys. What questions do you guys want to ask?
Yeah, do you have any questions?
I dropped the Discord bomb on you one day when I was like, yeah, fade it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it.
I could start off with like the light questionings, and then I know we're short on time, so I'll cut it down, and I have a heavy hitter later.
Okay.
First and foremost would be, it was a month or so ago where the voice packs kind of got leaked online. So, and a lot of the general consensus is, when can we expect voices to be for our heroes, like released for our heroes, to kind of feel more connected with the heroes?
So I think the latest on that is, I can't remember if we talked about it on one of the previous streams, but the voices that that everyone heard or that were leaked or whatever, were more or less not finished. They were just us like, hey, here's some voices, let's test these out. And then we had our writer Brian come in, and they started redoing lore or fleshing out lore, and
it's like when everybody saw those tips in the the hero pages, like when you saw those little lore tidbits,
so started defining the personalities of the heroes. And at that point in time, it's like what people had heard prior to that. I mean, that was stuff that was before Brian was here, and as they're fleshing out the personalities, it was like, okay, we need to redo all of these. So I don't know where we stand right now, but I do know that they are working on voices.
Perfect.
Right now, so
perfect.
I have some small basic questions too. First and foremost, you removed the passives from all the heroes.
Right.
Would that ever be brought back into the heroes with the release of Monolith?
That's more of a Cameron question. I don't think passives as they were once were in will be back. I mean,
that implementation of
because
we had the explanation for why we took them out as the concept.
I mean, their initial reasoning for why we took them out is like we had at the time. When did I don't remember if we took them out after we had released Severog and Richter or not, but we basically had 13 or 15 heroes at the time, and 3 passives were very meaningful. And so the design team kind of looked at that and said, if we were to bring this back, it would be in a way that would be more meaningful. So I don't want to rule that out, but they want the abilities to feel impactful and the people to have meaningful kits. And that's probably the best answer I could give you. But Cameron, that's something certainly that I can have him answer at one point in time.
Another question would be for regarding the drafts. When could we expect further iteration on there? So forth, like trading heroes with your teammates, enabling more strategic depth to scrims, to public games, etc. When can we expect changes like that? Because right now we have about 25 heroes, and the Gore Rising tournaments, you could ban 1 hero on each team, and you're able to pick heroes without duplicates, right? Without having the same heroes and 2 heroes of the same in the same game. So when can we expect further iteration on that? Because I think it's possible right now.
So the big thing that as everyone knows now, Monolith is coming, right? So we're changing your chessboard, right? So the best analogy is that I can give is we don't want to make decisions like that for ranked or competitive play when the board that you play on isn't going to be the same, right? So we knew back when we first started talking about like ranked and things like that, okay, if we're going to make this a new map, we need to put all of our attention on that and get the design and the layout and how things are going to play on this board, on this field, if you will, for our players. And I think it's important to establish whatever set of feedback and testing and data that we're going to get for Monolith to kind of shape how we do that in the future. So, things like I think one of the biggest feedback items that I can remember from draft, and this is a minor one, is like, hey, if I choose left or right lane, that's not actually what it is in game. It's red or blue, right? And so for a long time we wanted to go red or blue. And now you guys know we have off lane and dual lane, right? So we're making decisions like that right now because that changes in draft lobby, right? So things like trading and mirrors, those are non-mirror matches. Those are all things that I think we want to do long term. But first, we got to establish these are the ground rules for the game. Okay. Right. So.
Following your release of Monolith, I know you guys are focused on all that stuff, but do you think you would be Do you think a 3v3 map or a 1v1 map would be being worked on or released soon after that?
I would say anything is possible. We've answered this question a couple times, like on our open beta stream and that Reddit AMA.
Yeah, we talked about in the Q&A a little bit.
Yeah, I think the team right now is focused on making the best experience that we can. It previously was Agora, and then they had to shift all gears on Monolith. But we did make the tutorial map Origin, which if you've been through is a very small map. So I think it's certainly possible, and it's not something we want to rule out. But I think right now the team is going to try to get Monolith on visual parity that was on Agora, because the version that's going to come out for everyone on December 6th is going to be very early.
Earlier version,
So in much of the same way that we developed Legacy over the past from OT1 to now, we have to kind of do that same iterative process for Monolith, hopefully at a much faster pace.
I have one last question regarding Monolith. So when the release comes out, you guys are going to be getting a lot of feedback, a lot of concerns. You're going to be able to formulate a general consensus based on everyone's comments. How would you be able to, I guess, similar to what you did on Friday morning on Discord, will there be a different opportunity for us to have a live conversation with the devs to understand their roadmap, like the top priorities for the top maps? What are the top things that you're going to, because you guys have to wait first for people to play it, to develop metas, items may be changed, basic stuff, right? So will there be an opportunity like an AMA where a lot of people know that a question period where we're able to talk with you guys, so they could set their schedules for that, or if they missed that date, they could look back on it and say, here are the questions that were asked regarding Monolith moving forward, and just an easier way for people to, have an open communication with you guys.
Yeah, so I think that there's always opportunities like that, and we want to be as communicative as possible when we release this map going forward, getting feedback. AMAs are great. I don't think live chat is great for people being able to kind of disseminate and understand, because there's so many different questions coming in. It's like, okay, I'm going to answer this one from up here. Oh, I missed 5 other questions. But definitely like things like AMAs.
I think AMAs.
Organizing those with Jamie Shepard and the guys on Reddit would be fantastic. But I think there's no difference in how we would approach that. We did an AMA back during early access. We did one for open beta event. I don't see why we wouldn't try to kick one off for Monolith as well, and then going into the next year.
Okay, perfect.
I have another small question. Would ranked be pushed out if Monolith was working in its state that you release it in?
Would ranked be pushed?
You mean pushed up?
Up?
Yeah.
Like would rank come sooner?
Yeah, would rank come sooner.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the design team is on rank to be able to answer that question. I do know, we have some designs that people have in their minds and stuff like that. Yeah, the big thing that's going to change will be the new matchmaking system called monolithic matchmaking system. So that's going to change how teams are organized, how players find matches, how our entire system works.
Better tools to work with. And stuff,
Right, and that'll like Mooney said, it'll give us some better tools to work on a ranked system. But I think we're still a little ways out from determining what rank will look like.
Right.
This is because this is a concern for probably a lot of people, junglers who have to run around and place harvesters and whatnot. Is there a change for that coming up? Do you think maybe harvesters would be changed? Do you think maybe there's no keys, or you'd have generators of some sort? Any kind of change that makes it less taxing for junglers to spend a lot of time in the jungle?
I think junglers, when Monolith hits, will still have objectives.
Right.
I think that's important to understand. Whether it's my objective right now is to gank at level 2. My objective right now is to take this jungle camp or steal the enemies to deter from their farm. I think we're still thinking about how objectives play a part. Harvesters are something that are different on Monolith for sure, and I don't know where the design team is going to land on a final iteration of what that is, but we will definitely be detailing all the changes that are coming very soon for Monolith. But yeah, junglers I think will still have objectives to take part in throughout the map that their decisions will be impactful for their team and themselves.
Right.
I think that's our goal. So if harvesters are a part of that, there may be some form of that as well.
Yep.
Okay. So that's pretty much it. We got Chris here to pick you guys up, take you over to play those games, and they're going to get you guys all set, and we'll be hosting you here momentarily. So we're going to answer some questions from chat. Appreciate you guys coming out. I'll be talking with you guys later today some more, but
thanks, guys.
It's good.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
What if I opened every stream like this, like I was an evil villain, like I'm just here?
So you're Gideon?
Yeah, I'm Gideon every stream. I am Gideon.
You are Gideon.
That's me now.
Stream.
Yeah.
You even have like all of this.
I'm just gonna start. Yeah, I'm Gideon now.
Just
I'm just gonna come in.
dude.
I'm just gonna start coming in with more and more like Gideon attire.
The only lore I've ever given for Gideon is that he's an evil dude. Speaking of lore,
let's go.
Crunch.
Speaking of it.
So my customary lore for the hero. I think we saw one question. Was it was not even a question. It was just stated like lore. Like,
yeah, lore. It's just
like
you
like
demanding
it.
it.
So Crunch has a history in the fighting pits. The fighting pits. He likes to fight. It's very clear.
Whoa, are you telling me Crunch likes to fight people?
He likes to punch.
That's actually my favorite line from the trailer is where he's like, "My name is Crunch. I like to hit people with my fists."
Oh, that's not what he says.
Oh, okay. I'm misremembering. I think it's something else.
My name is Crunch. I like to punch.
That's what it is. That's right. I forgot.
Do you like it when I punch you?
Yeah, that's right.
So fighting pits. He ended up. I can't tell you guys how he ended up there, but I can say on stream that he was in the fighting pits somewhere, and he likes to punch people. He does not see it as like he's not like an evil guy. He's not like a bad guy. He's just
punching.
He just likes to punch.
He's just
like,
punching.
He has fun punching.
Like he was just like Cameron said. He's the order when he was talking about the affinities. He likes to punch.
He likes to punch.
And then he's just like, oh, did you like it when I punched you? Was that a good experience?
Right. So. Yeah, there's that. Looking at questions from chat like we normally do before we host up one of these two guys. They should be ready, basically ready to go almost immediately. So as soon as Fatal is up and live, we will get started there. Card crafting. Any plans for SEA server after Monolith release? I don't actually know the answer to that question. I mean, I think we're going to continue to look at where we need to
Like
have
regions
server
and servers,
support
yeah.
based on region, player population, and things like that.
But yeah, we'll make it clear. Like maybe the Oceanic server
Yeah.
announcement, like when we had those up, we let
Yep.
people know that those were up and people could start, you know, trying to get into matches.
we will have a dedicated stream, as you guys can assume, because the next stream falls on the day before Monolith
Yeah.
releases. So I just want to, any of the questions that you guys have for Monolith, I want to make sure I have all my information right, but we will make sure to detail that either over the coming weeks and or the day before it goes live. So December 5th, we will have a stream kind of talking about Monolith. So look forward to having that with you guys. Will you show Twin Blast some love? The caster. His ultimate is useless against other players. You can easily avoid him if you are a melee because he's too slow in the state. He is the weakest carry in the game. Now, Twin Blast was in a pretty precarious spot because several tweaks to his kit. He was at one point in time the hands down the best hero in the game.
Yes.
Based on his kit having everything, right? You have the attack speed boost, you have a slow, you have a dodge, basically a movement ability. Has always been something that the team has unanimously felt like needed some love.
Yeah.
So the short answer to that question is Twin Blast is getting a kit rework. We stated this on the forums. We stated where people can most obviously look. I think is forums, probably a little bit on Reddit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've said it on live before, but yes, Twin Blast will get a rework soon. I didn't know he was evil. Don King, yeah.
You learn something every day.
Gideon is
And
evil,
if I
dude.
look like Gideon, what does that tell you about me?
Mooney is not evil.
Yeah.
Nathan is the real life.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
the real life Gideon.
Let's go.
Oh boy.
Let's go, dude. I'm okay like to have that as my lot in life because that just means I can manifest black holes at will every some odd seconds. So I don't know by heart. I mean, it's like a minute every couple minutes I just summon black holes. I think that's a pretty solid. I feel like I'm overachieving at this point in life. I think at that point, if I can summon meteors and create black holes.
I'm looking, guys. I'm looking for Crunch. I'm trying to see if Fatal is on just yet.
When you start punching.
When he starts punching.
Yeah.
We'll be hosting him, so you guys can go check that out, and then I'll pop back over to questions. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Why did you change master skins? They look so bad now. Brand new? That was actually a bug.
Yes.
Right now they just look like they can look kind of bronzish.
Yeah.
It's because the animation effect was broken on them, so they're not playing the animation on the skin. So we're aware of it, and we'll be working on it. How long has Crunch existed internally? Well, we have Pants 420 asked that question. We have kits for heroes that are in like prototype form for a long time.
Yeah,
So
because the process takes a while to like get through iterating. Like you heard Cameron and like Skylar talking about it at the beginning of the stream. Like they talked about how it's an iterative process. Like we'll get to an early kit and just be like, oh, we have to take this kit, move it here, and then we're on kit number seven or something like that, and move those over. So obviously it takes time. So quite a while. I mean, just like working on heroes.
I think that's probably an important discussion just to have in general. It's like, the designers, especially because we launched in early access, had so many prototypes that they had ready, and then there was some that were out of prototype phase in the testing phase and some that were nearly complete. And that's kind of how the team works. But for the most part, we've been trying to get a workflow in much the same way we had the skins question, right?
Yes,
like how do we develop skins? In much of the same way that we do with our kits for our heroes and building a hero, we needed to understand the pipeline for how to do so, right?
Right.
So, you know, it starts from like the concepting. Okay, how long does that take? Is that 2 days? Is that a week? And then once we get a general time frame for what that is, okay, then it goes to modeling.
Right.
And then when, you know, we have these guys up, then it goes to well, there's the design and the kit itself, but then it goes to the effects and the animation, and that takes some period
It's like,
of time.
does this feel right? Has like comp played games of this?
Right.
Like, have we internally played around with this? Does it feel good? Does it make sense? Because you need to even get those baselines in there to like start making decisions.
But I want to say Crunch was around for quite some time.
I mean,
in prototype.
I was on comp when the Crunch was.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's a while.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm an old man, so.
Voice chat. When we need it, ping system is not effective enough. The bay trees, we've answered a couple times on stream about voice chat. It is something that I think that the team is looking at as a possibility in the future. I think there's inherently a lot of challenges around voice chat. One, because it's cross-platform, right, if we were to institute something. But the second thing I think is, and this is probably the most important, toxicity is very, very important to us. And you can tell Mooney because he's
important.
the toxicity team. But basically, for us, I think it's important that we have tools in place to make it so that you can have a good experience, because I don't think people truly understand the gravity of how bad one negative experience has on the impact of everyone else and then the continued games afterwards. So we're making a very conscious decision to approach voice chat with an air of caution and make sure that all the tools that we need would be in place if it was something that we were going to pursue.
PSA, just like you can be the force of negativity, you can also be the force of positivity. Make a change in your community today.
Thank you for that, Mooney. Thank you.
One good interaction, guys. Be the lighthouse that the Paragon community needs.
Did you really go there?
Yeah.
All right.
Come on, guys.
I see I see Fatal live streaming now. We're gonna on that note, we're gonna make sure that we get Fatal up ASAP so that we can be a lighthouse.
Yeah, dude.
In the
lighthouse. Watch Fatal
in the community.
Oh
my gosh.
Be good to each other. Be excellent.
So hope everyone enjoyed the stream. Hope you guys got some knowledge. Make sure to tune in to Fatal and Solo Now School, who will be streaming from inside the building, playing the new hero, Crunch, who releases tomorrow to the mass. This super technical hero for those that love their fighting games. You need to get you some Crunch. You need to get some Crunch. With that, we're out. See you guys next time.